CSE fraternity and and he's been a fantastic mentor to a lot of people. In fact, once after I finished college, in fact, I had gone to his office for sales and all. அப்பதான் சாரை பார்க்கவே முடியாது பயங்கர பிஸியா இருப்பாரு. And but still he's a very approachable person, always willing to help out the fellow colleagues, and mentor them and support them. Without taking much time, I would pass on to Kumar to share his experiences in life, share his experiences in the technology field, and and kick off the pro connect session for today. Over to you, Ram.
All right, thank you. So, lovely. Always a pleasure to be around SVCANs. So, good. Thanks. I should thank Vijay. Don't thank Pannano. So, Vijay only put me across to this through Kausalya, and who diligently followed me up to make sure that I accept. So, good. Thanks very much. So, I was given the liberty to choose the topic of the day. So therefore, I suggested, success in life versus professional success. And the reason why I chose this is because this has been a study of my last 10 years of a very detailed empirical research. And I think, first of all, I wanted to convey why am I qualified to talk on this subject? There must be a qualification for someone to talk on any particular subject. So I've been debating, exploring various, functions of life on what happened to me. So you all being, from a brethren community, I will share a few things very candidly. So, like Vijay gave a small, a brief introduction. Yeah, we were a, fairly large company. My company had about 3,500 people working at a point of time. And we were doing business in excess of 500 crores for 3 continuous years. And that was from the year 2009 onwards. So, and the ET 500 ஒரு book வரும். And the ET 500, ET top 500 along with Economic Times. So we were for 2 consecutive years we were also nominated in the ET top 500. We were about 317 one year. The other year we were 358. So அந்த மாதிரிலாம் ஏதோ போச்சு. We also there were Pranab Mukherjee was the president of India, and even we got an award from Corporation Bank, constituted by the Corporation Bank, to be among the emerging young business leaders. அப்படின்லாம் அவர் டெல்லி போயிட்டு அவார்ட்லாம் வாங்கினோம். இதெல்லாம் ஒரு பக்கம். So all of this was all gung-ho. But then come 2012, we kind of faced a huge issue. That was the time of the UPA rule, and the 2G scam was happening, the WiMAX scam was happening, the Commonwealth Games scam was happening, a lot of scam was happening, and we kind of got caught in one of the very large orders that we did with the government. And so we had a massive, issue that way, because we got very badly stuck for a few hundred crores with the government. And we were trying, struggling, we were not able to come because there was really no one who were aiding the government. And அப்போ நான் நல்லவனா வேற இருந்தேன். லஞ்சம் கொடுக்க கூடாது, நம்ம வந்து we should not do things அப்படின்ற மாதிரி ஒரு you are in business and you better do business. I didn't know, rather, because everything was happening very well. So, and then when this happened, and I had to almost wind up my company. And it was about 20 years of my work at that point of time. And because I started in the year, 91, 92, and kind of kept going on through at a point, in the 20 years of so much of energy spent. And I kind of didn't understand where I was at that point, because I was starting my life all over again. So professionally, there was a huge challenge. But then I thought, in my life, how happy I am. Where am I? How happy I am. Or how much of this professional debacle will impact me as a person, as my, for my family, for my friends. And then I decided to draw the line, and then separate out the success in my life versus the success in my profession. So, and that is exactly what I thought I will share with all of you today. Right? So, and I would like to take a few, like I said, it was an empirical research that has been happening. I wanted to really identify, am I the kind who is suited for business? Or do I come from a background, an ecosystem where business flourishes? Or, the இப்பெல்லாம் சொல்லுவாங்களா, குஜராத்தியா அவன்லாம் சூப்பரா பிசினஸ் பண்ணுவான், இந்த மார்வாடி கிட்ட எல்லாம் பிசினஸே வச்சுக்க முடியாது, அவங்களாம் இயற்கையா பிசினஸ் வரும், இந்த செட்டியார் பசங்களா அவங்கலாம் பயங்கர இயற்கையா பிசினஸ் பண்ணுவாங்க. So there is something in the blood also, right? So I wanted to check whether, are these in the blood? Do we do business this way? So I wanted to take a few centuries back, and first book I read was The World Economic History by Angus Madison. And I think that's a book that a lot of people should read. In the year 2000, it was released in the year 2001. And Angus Madison was a chief economic advisor to the OECD countries. So we're talking about someone who is extremely acknowledged as one of the big economic brains of the 20th century. So when this Angus Madison book came out, the world took note of who we are. So he writes in this entire structuring the 2000 years of economic history of the world, he writes that 38% on an average, 38% GDP of this world was with one nation, and that is ours, for 1750 years out of the 2000 years. So இன்னைக்கு நம்ம பேசுறோம், அமெரிக்கா இஸ் த சூப்பர் பவர், இருந்தா அவங்க அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கணும், இல்லாட்டி அந்த நாட்டுல போய் இருந்துடலாம், இந்த நாட்டுல வேர் குவாலிட்டி ஆஃப் லைஃப் இஸ் கிரேட் தேர். All of this we are talking, we had that for 1750 years, and we had something like 38% GDP, unimaginable. How much was it in, this was 1750. How much was it in 1950? We brought it down to 1.8%. So from something like 38%, we are down to 1.8% by the year 1950. That's the amount of plunder, or that's the amount of economic debacle that we had faced over 200 years. Now, that is point number one, which means that this entire country, business flourished, innovation flourished. We were materialistically very, very rich. But then there was something that happened. Today we are gaining again in material prosperity, but we are still missing something there. A lot of people there, there was this book by a German, Rudolf something. I was trying to find it. I couldn't get it. He said The Best of East and West. Abdin innor book. I somehow forget the author. It was Rudolf something. He had traveled to about 56 countries to check which country's youth are the most happiest. So that was the essence of the book. which country's youth are the most happiest. And 56 countries. This book was released in the early 80s. And he claimed to have done a research of about 20 odd years, 20 to 23 years. And he says that eventually he boils down to say that the people in India are the most happiest for one reason. They're happiest because they let go happiness very joyfully for the sake of others. So ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமாக நான் என்னுடைய சில தேவைகளை நான் ஒரு காரணத்துக்காக விட்டு கொடுக்குறேன். எங்க அப்பா அம்மா, வயசான அப்பா அம்மா, நான் வந்து வெளியூர்லாம் போல, I don't want to grow big, I don't want to own a swanky car, have a bungalow, because I have to be in my village because my parents are there. I come back, I lead a more simplistic life. In the materialistic demand was constantly overtaken by the demand to complete our duty and therefore be more happier. So this was the essence of this guy's book, The Best of East and West. Incidentally, this book was suggested to me or given to me by Gurumurthy, S. Gurumurthy, so he was the Tuklak editor. He gave me this book and I was very fascinated by some of the findings, but that's not the purpose of our study here. So this was another very strongly impacting, thing that hit me. Now, why did we and where did we lose somewhere in between? நிறைய பேர் என்கிட்ட வந்து, when I was facing through this economic debacle in my life, everybody said, வர்றா உன்னெல்லாம் வந்து பிசினஸ்லாம் வராது, நீ வந்து ஒரு வெள்ளேந்தி, நீ வந்து you cannot wade your way through, அவன் உன்னை நசிக்கிடுவான். So much of things that happen. But then, by all good wishes and a lot of, again, putting in a lot of hard work, we're back doing some good job right now. So we are about close to 100 people today in our organization, and aspirations have changed. The aspirations of the life between 20 and 40 or 45 is very, very different from the aspiration that after you turn 50. So I also learned that in the age of 20 to 40, that's the biggest blessing of anyone's life. Biggest blessing. You look your most handsomest best during that time. However handsome you are, you look your best during that time. You have phenomenal amount of energy. Physical, mental, you have phenomenal amount of energy. You are physically most fit during these times. And you are such a green field at your mind that you are willing to receive so much of information. You are ready to receive information. And there are other people who are willing to forgive you because you are young and you are in the process of learning. So yenga patalum, you are at an advantage between the year of 20 to 40. You carry that advantage. You can carry that advantage anywhere. And all that you in return of all this, such a wonderful blessing, all that you're expected is, are you leading the right path? Are you in the right path to use such a blessing and put it into good use? Or are you abusing that time? A friend started jolly and whoever have struggled their way up in life, the years between 20 and 40 would have been years of for whomever it would have been years of struggle. Such people really do very well in life beyond later and beyond. So that's one huge learning that we receive. There is a little bit of a philosophy that I have to say. The idea is not to bring in philosophy, but anything that is time tested, anything that is won over time is there to stay. And there was a time when I started reading, because there was really nothing much to do but staring at the four walls around me. And so I started reading up some, many books. And one of the books that I read was the Bhagavad Gita. So நான் வந்து பயங்கர philosophy அந்த டீப் எல்லாம் போல, நம்மளுக்கு என்ன தேவை அப்படின்ற very simple concept that helped me today. So in there Krishna says that listen, we have categorized people into 4 different groups. I've categorized people, so which means I will fall under one of these categories. And these 4 different groups are: one, people who are extremely socially well connected and who want to live a life from socially very well. I want to have a lot of friends, I want to do good in life, I want to do some social work. In the mari or kind, a lot of people want to have gain a lot of happiness by doing that kind of a social work. There is another kind where they are seeking power. They are seeking a position, they are seeking some fame. That's the second kind. Then there is a third kind who want to make money, and that's the goal. I don't care if I'm not powerful, I don't care if I'm not famous, I don't care if I'm not much of good things done, but I want to make a lot of money. That's the third kind. And there is another fourth kind who says, listen, I'm not very aspirational, எனக்கு நீ இவ்வளவு ரூபா கொடு, நான் இதை பண்ணிட்டு போறேன், எனக்கு I will be very happy doing my work. Now these are the 4 categories that Krishna says that people are categorized into. And I wanted to check, where do I fit in this entire game? And this is the game of life. If my nature is something and I want to push myself into another category, so let us say by nature I am not the kind who is very aspirational for money. By my nature I'm not that I don't like money, I'm not very aspirational. My mind doesn't really go towards extracting money or building more money. If my nature is so, but then I find myself doing business, then there is an element of contradiction there. So I began to understand that these are different, like a game of chess la வெவ்வேறு coins. இது நம்ம ஒருத்தர் மாத்தி ஒருத்தர் விளையாட முடியாது. ஒரு it has to go the way it has to go. It cannot go as in how we like. My desire is very, very different from my nature. It can be. The great thing that we have to understand, or I have understood in my life, is when my desire and my nature is overlapping each other. அந்த மாதிரி இருந்துருச்சுனா then my ability to gain success comes very, very quickly, very, very easily. Now there is how we economically got destroyed அப்படின்றத நம்ம பார்த்தோம்னா, something that happens even today but in a different way. For example, the Bengal famine, and where about 3 million people died. 3 million people died. And there was a Dhaka muslin cloth அப்படின்னு ஒன்று இருந்தது. We were very, very famous for our saris, for our clothes. That there is a historian who has written that, Italian historian, who said that this Bengal muslin cloth, அது வந்து ஒரு வத்தி பொட்டிக்குள்ள ஒரு சாரிய வந்து மடிச்சு வச்சிரலாமா, அவ்வளோ மெல்லிசா இருக்குமா அந்த and it was in huge demand in many places in the Europe. That இட்டாலியில போய் டாக் பண்ணா அங்க வந்து we used to trade for gold and diamonds for this muslin cloth. so much so ஏன்னா நம்ம நாட்டுல வந்து பெரிய சுரங்கம் தங்க சுரங்கம்லாம் பெருசா கிடையாது. But we had so much gold. We had so much gold in our temples. We had so much gold in, all over our body for both men and women. But where did all these gold come from? All these gold came because we used to trade for cloth and gold. Cloth with gold, spices with gold. So அந்த அளவுக்கு we were so rich that in the year 400 AD, when the world had a 400-ton ship, here in Gujarat we were making 4,000 tons worth of cargo ships that can carry 4,000 tons. So எங்கேயோ இருந்தோமே அந்த ஒரு டைம்ல இந்த டாக்கா மஸ்லின் கிளாத் இண்டஸ்ட்ரியல் ரெவல்யூஷன் இந்த மில்ஸ் எல்லாம் இங்கிலாந்துல ஆரம்பிச்ச போது they started importing a lot to India. They've started pushing a lot of our clothes to India. Appo 1 million weavers of Dhaka muslin cloth, their thumbs were cut because they did not want this Dhaka muslin cloth to be ever in existence. And today it is not in existence. So that's the amount of Veer Savarkar in his book, Vikram Sampath, a lot of book that a book that is being highly spoken about. He says the year 1857 to 1907 is the darkest period of Indian history. The darkest period. And he gives a huge quotation for why it is the darkest. But one small example. 1811 census. The country had almost 100% literacy rate. 100% literacy in the year 1811. And in the year 18, you can Google these also. 1881 census, our literacy rate in males was 8.35%. And in females, in ladies, it was less than 1%. So much so for where we were and where we fell down to. Now, how does this impact my life? Basically, I come from a very traditional middle class family. என்ன மாதிரினா உனக்கு ஏன் வம்பு இதெல்லாம் பண்ணாத, that's the immediate thing that that anybody will from my family will say. Little amount of risk will be unacceptable. Take everything which comes to you, don't aspire more, just keep very contented. சண்டை பக்கம் போகாத, துஷ்டனை கண்டா தூர விலகு, எல்லாம் நம்ம வந்து அப்படியே கம்ஃபர்ட் மட்டுமே. And why did we cage ourselves like this? We kind of caged ourselves, not willing to explore the life. So when problem strikes you in life, immediately in the defense mechanisms எல்லாம் பயங்கரமா வருது. காரணம் என்னன்னா, last 5 or 6 generations அதுக்கு முன்னாடி they lived, or maybe 10 generations, they lived a royal life. Everybody, Lord Macaulay in a statement of 1835 February 2nd writes that I've traveled the length and breadth of this country multiple times and I've not seen one beggar and I've not seen one person who is illiterate. So that the kind of life that we led. But over a period of time, when we started fighting for food, when we started fighting to save our women and children from the atrocities of people who used to invade us, அப்போ வந்து நம்மளுக்கு வந்து டிஃபென்ஸ் மெக்கானிசம்ஸ் வளர்ந்து over a period of multiple generations, we started being selfish, or we started being very defensive. So when I wanted to, coming back to my observations from all of these, when I wanted to compare all of this, how does it impact me today at my mindset? So I was surrounded by people who used to tell me what I need to do to make my living better, so that I kind of go through this difficult phase easily. எக்ஸ்ப்ளோர் பண்ணி நீ மறுபடியும் ஜெயிப்ப அப்படின்னு யாருமே சொல்லல. பட் reading all of these books, I understood that we have to stand up, divide a line. Professional success is based on the categorization that you fall under. What is the kind of aspiration that you have deep within? Your nature's aspiration. If you are able to follow that, it can be your social. Today, I know deep within, I identified myself that I am not the typical business guy. I am more into the social spectrum. I want to see a society which is extremely happy. That is me. And others need not be like me. There are other categories of people as well. So I identified myself, but jeevanamnu one irukku. So I have to make my living. So I kind of made sure that my aspirations get tuned into a different path. So that, I was trying to be, in the exact words, I was trying to be a Vaishya when I was not. Then I tuned myself so that I'm not a Vaishya, because I cannot be one, because I'm by nature, I'm not one. I tune myself to be some, more in accordance to what my nature is. Now, I understood that the success in life is very, very different. I can, irrespective of what my profession demand is, if I pursue what gives me happiness, if I pursue my nature, if I pursue what I feel deep within, then the element of what I need to pursue for the sake of others or for the sake of environment. So I kind of have this realization after I turned 47, 48, which is like, too late in the day. But exactly so, why I wanted to tell my son and I want to tell my daughter that படிப்பு வரலையா, சுமாரா வருதா, it's okay. You'll shine in something else. But make sure that you understand where you shine it. Make sure that you identify yourself. Make sure you identify your nature very well. Success in life is far more important than the success in profession. Unless you want to be the guy whom wants to achieve professional success as a life success. That is one kind. But there are 3 more kinds who do not think so. These are the few thoughts that I wanted to share with all of you. I've been given half an hour and I kind of completed my half an hour. I'll be very happy to take some questions. Thank you.
So my question, Ram, is this confusion continues to remain for first generation entrepreneurs. Does it have to be a resolution through personal experience, or can we look at some sort of a balance that can come in by listening to you or reading some books? Where do we seek that out?
Okay. My experience need not be your experience. My conclusions need not be your conclusions. I've understood that we have to do some soul searching within ourselves. Identify where our happiness stands, our success stands. When I turn 70, what do I think will be the success that I achieved in my life? Now, if I'm able to define that, and it's not very easy to define it at whatever age you are till you turn 70. But if you are able to define that, and it can keep evolving. So and you work for that cause today, one of my favorite pastimes was that if only today was 20 years back, how I will change my life. நான் எப்படிலாம் மாத்தி என்ன மாதிரிலாம் பண்ணுவேன், what all decisions, நான் என்ன decision எடுத்தேன், எப்படி மாத்துவேன். This used to be my favorite pastime. But then at a point of time, I understood, what if I'm 20 years ahead? or today is 2041, and how I wish I was in 2021. I would have changed this and that. So thinking ahead, and it's very difficult. It's much easier to say these though, but it's so difficult to envisage something that to happen. But I think we need to do that. The most important thing is that we need to feel contented, happy, satisfied when we start living, during our 70s. And at that point of time, and I look back at my life, and I talk a lot to people who are in their 70s and 80s now, and not many people open up. They still think they have another 20 years of their life ahead. But very clearly, I had a wonderful experience. I was in a temple or 2-3 years back in our Margadi Masam. So I was in a temple, and we were chanting some shlokas, and there was one man who was standing group. And around after some time he came, and then was a little senior to me. Then he said, எனக்கும் இதெல்லாம் சொல்லணும்னு ஆசை, ஆனா எனக்கு இது ஒண்ணுமே வரல அப்படின்னாரு. அதனால என்ன, சில பேருக்கு வரும், சில பேருக்கு வராது, நீங்க ட்ரை பண்ணுங்க, வரும் அப்படின்னு. இல்ல நான் என் லைஃபை எவ்வளவு வேஸ்ட் பண்ணிட்டேன்ட்டு எனக்கு இப்பதான் தோன்றது. நான் யுனைடெட் நேஷன்ஸ்ல ஒர்க் பண்ணேன். I have traveled to almost every country in this world in my capacity. I've had a royal life in every way. ஆனா இன்னைக்கு நான் ரிட்டையர் ஆயிட்டேன். இப்ப நானா திரும்பி பார்க்கும்போது I think I led a very empty life. நான் ஒண்ணுமே கத்துக்கல என் லைஃப்ல. அது பார்த்து எனக்கு ரொம்ப வருத்தமா இருக்கு. He literally was crying. Now this is one example, but like I said, not many people during that age open up, and I'm trying to prompt some soul searching that can happen 20 years ahead. And அது நடக்கும்போது நம்ம இந்த டிரான்ஸ்பரன்சியோட, கான்ஃபிடன்ஸோட, can we look back at our own life and can we tell a story that we will be very happy to share? So that's the kind of message I'm trying to convey, that this is my learning in life.
Hi Ram, this is Satya.
Yeah, hi Satya.
Oftentimes I've also thought about this, drawing a line between what your personal goals or your life goals as you perceive it against professional goals. I always have failed miserably on one of them. If I try to put focus on the ones that I want, let's say on the personal side, and then I fail miserably on the professional side, and then it puts me back in the game. So I don't know when to really put the balance or when to come out of one and then take the path forward. I've tried a number of times and I've seen this consistently happening, because I think we are again and again pushed into this professional happiness goals one way or other. What do you think about that?
Right, Satya, you're not alone. So you're a part of a large community who are completely, who are still trying to figure out the lines between, what they pursue in life. And that is exactly what I'm trying to say. இப்போ நம்ம let's say we are working in a large company, we are earning well, இதெல்லாம் ஒரு பக்கம் நடக்கிறது அப்படின்னு சொன்னா, what is this that we are aspiring for more? எங்கயாவது ஒரு இடத்துல நம்ம லைன் டிரா பண்ணணும். Typically what you are saying, எனக்கு ப்ரொஃபஷன்ல ஃபோக்கஸ் பண்ணும்போது லைஃப் கோட்டை விடுறது, லைஃப்ல ஃபோக்கஸ் பண்ணா ப்ரொஃபஷன் கோட்டை விடுறதுன்னா, வெரி கிளியர்லி you need to recognize, and I'm trying to take a biased stand here. I concluded that for me, my life is not my profession. My life, my profession is a part of my life. There is a huge part of my life which is not my profession. So I have various facets of my life. And these various facets, I want to shine in many other aspects. Sometimes I'm kind of mediocre in this profession. But I do this profession for one very clear purpose. I am today running a business. I do this for one very clear purpose. And again, I'm stressing this. This is my personal experience. I am not saying this must be anybody's, conclusion as well. This is my personal experience, and each one of your experience can be and will be different. Absolutely. I decided that, my overall success in life, in which my profession is a small part, and I can afford to be mediocre in my profession. And I want to, because I consider the rest of my life far more important than this. But I want to make sure that I keep my economics in place. My, economy has to be in place. I have to make sure that my kids are, all well taken care of. But there is an element of contentment. I need to draw the line. Where do I draw the line of contentment? That idu porom. This is what I decided. And you need to, I don't think there is any standard format answer. But where you need to draw the line, or what you feel, be it profession, be it personal, where these lines are drawn is every single person's personal experience.
Hear you, Ram. Thank you.
நிறைய பேர் பார்த்திருப்பீங்க இந்த ஸ்டீவ் ஜாப்ஸோட ஒரு கிராஜுவேஷன் செரிமனி ஒரு டாக் ஒன்று இருக்குல்ல, connecting the dots, and then another thing plays where he says, that ஒரு write up that he has written that, today lying in my deathbed, and I've been hugely successful as a business indraங்க, but all this is empty. So everyone has their own ways of looking at success. Steve Jobs did not feel eventually at the end of his life, he didn't feel that he was a greatly successful businessman. He said, that's what he felt. Yeah, this is a subject which, not many people will be confident to open up. A lot of things are very personal about this thing, and I truly respect that. Success for us is happiness. Happiness is the biggest pursuit for any man. I want to make money because I want to be happy. Or I want to have family, I want to have kids, I want to have a car, I want to have a house, all because I want to be happy. If happiness is the biggest pursuit, how do what are those building blocks for me to reach happiness? In the particular thought process, let clarity irundaduna, we will be. So these are short sessions, right? 45 minutes. How many of such sessions have you guys had already?
I think this is the third one. It was started 3 years ago. We had a run. Post-COVID, this is the third one. Back to you, Vijay. Would you like to close it? Ram, Soumya is the president of the Alumni Association.
Oh, yeah. Soumya, we met.
I would request Soumya to give the closing note.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ram, for I think this has been a very insightful and a thought-provoking session, right? So a lot of the people who have joined here today are running their own business or at a stage in their life where you need to sort of introspect and see whether what does life success mean and what does professional success mean and how do you kind of reconcile the two together. There is also the aspect of what you think people think your life success is. It's one thing to think from yourself, and another thing to also live for what society kind of expects from you. So there's that aspect as well that we need to balance out. But I think what you said totally resonates. I think ultimately we have to search for what really makes us happy. That's life success, right? It need not always come from your professional success, but that's really what you're kind of driving towards. If slogging away at your work gives you that sort of happiness, then that's what you're doing. Or if you need to draw the line between your professional and your personal, more so with respect to women, right? Because I think a lot of times, I know I personally have a lot of guilt if am I not paying enough attention to my children as I'm running my business. So there's also that aspect and all of the other expectations that kind of society puts on you. But very insightful, very thought-provoking. I think we go into the weekend having all of these interesting thoughts in our mind. And I really want to thank you for taking time and doing the session for ProConnect and for SPCE. Thank you so much.